Hey everyone, I'm going to take a break since I'm about halfway through with the exercise series. I'm going to be doing exercise 11 for my next video, but my first one-to-one call of the day today, we were talking about what was it that came together in order for me to get to where I am today. And I haven't made a video like this in a long time, and I wanted to go through and tell people and show them all the different things I had to go through, all the challenges, all the confusion, in order to get me to where I am today. So much confusion. So many down moments, so many moments of despair, so much chronic anxiety. Hard to even imagine how much the human body can take at certain points, right? So we hear stuff like this all the time. It's really funny. You hear people say, it's one of my favorite things that we say as a society. You'll watch maybe a podcast and it will be an expert on a big podcast that says, your body will die if you have stress. And then you watch it and you think, I've been having chronic panic attacks for 3 years. What? Because unless you have this disorder, unless you know what chronic anxiety feels like, and there is a very big difference between mild and chronic OCD and even the biggest daily stress. Losing your job, the stress that can come from that is a paper cut for the most part, unless your beliefs are really bad, compared to the latching anxiety from chronic anxiety and chronic guilt and shame with severe OCD. It's just not the same, because when you don't have a disorder, your brain will shut that off to some degree. With chronic anxiety and chronic OCD at the disordered level, you have a genetic, more than likely, abnormality in your brain, you could tell I was watching Batman, and that will not turn off until you break down your beliefs with this book right here, etc. So before I go any further, please subscribe, hit that like button down below, let me know what you think. And then if you need help, please reach out. Again, phil@ocdrecovery.com. Thank you for the comments. Please keep commenting. Whether you agree or disagree, I just like the conversation on the YouTube channel. We're not all going to agree on everything, and that's fine. So, and it would be very boring if we agree on everything anyway. That would be very monotonous and boring as society. So let's just make some bullet point lists on things that I had to do to get me to where I am today. The very first thing and the most important thing was I had to stop trying to solve my way out of OCD. Now, this is a reoccurring theme. You hear us talk about this all the time on the YouTube channel, but what does this look like? What am I missing? Do I understand that belief? And I'm not talking about the automatic, intrusive, automatic thoughts, images, sensation, urges, where 99% of people in social media don't quite understand rumination. Yes, rumination can be a compulsion, but no, it's not all a compulsion. A lot of it is a primary symptom of your core fear. So it's like the food pyramid. The top of the chart is the core fear, and then underneath that are behaviors and compulsions that fuel that. Then there's these automatic intrusive thoughts, sensation, and urges. Underneath that, there's another layer of rumination. No, you will not be able to get certainty on what's automatic and what's not. But if you're sitting there during a work meeting or having dinner with your spouse or during a romantic moment or anything, or traveling on a plane, and you're trying to solve, that is no longer automatic. It's like a grill. When you turn the grill on, there's just level 1. It's just a flame that's this big. That's there until your beliefs change to some degree in the background. Can vary in intensity. Maybe the grill goes up to a 3, but when that grill goes up to a 9 or a 10, that's this. Intrusive thought about you harming someone. Wait, okay, hold on. We gotta solve that. That is something that is a compulsion. When people are talking about ruminations is a compulsion, that is what they're talking about. So I had to get comfortable with not trying to solve things on a moment-to-moment basis. The second thing I had to do was look at people. Some people don't like hearing this because it comes across as harsh, but I looked at society as a whole. I'd look at groups of people, not just OCD and anxiety sufferers, people in the workplace, people in marriage. Why don't people have good, balanced, healthy marriages? Why don't people progress in work? There's many reasons why people don't do these things, but for the most part, it's victim mentality, not wanting to wear confusion, and having a very, very bad mindset when it comes to progress, flexibility, and change, and looking for illusionary pie-in-the-sky perspectives, such as the goal in life is to be happy. No, it's not. The goal in life is to be alive, and then die. That is the only goal. Everything else is up to interpretation based on the time period, based on your culture, your genetics, and all sorts of certain things. Because there's no such thing as good and bad people. So it's very easy to disprove once you understand the principles. It's understandable why we think there's good and bad people. But all of these things, so I had to look at society as a whole in different sectors and pockets and say, how do I get the best possibility of not being like those people? If I am like those people, I could accept that, not what I want, but how do I give myself the best chance of not being like those people? Not complaining, being more proactive. You'll complain at times, that's what humans do. Being more proactive, working on things in a way that people don't, using my mind and my belief systems to help problem solve in a non-OCD way. Look at things for what they are. Okay, how do I balance a good, healthy relationship? Putting the other person before me at times, compromising, not basing things off my emotion. You hear a lot of people, they say this too, humans are emotional creatures. Of course they are. But it doesn't mean you actually need to act off emotion all the time. I had, as we all do, extreme emotional disturbance. And I did not act off that all the time. This is so important to understand. Yes, you will feel those emotions, but you can train yourself stoically, philosophically, spiritually, belief system-wise, which all that is belief anyway, to act in a way where you're not just making immediate impulsive decisions off of impulse. You will at times, because it's what humans do, but you can get better and better and better, like building any other muscle. The third thing is I not only had to read the books on the reading list, I had to take them seriously. So I tell people, if I was to take everyone's books and go through them and see things on the side and, go to random pages and just kind of look that up. This was on 11/9/23. This was Facebook posts written, even with all my symptoms, enjoying it, going through Humans Are Fallible. If I look through your book and there's not a single markup in this book, I can't say for sure that you're not taking it seriously, but I would put more pros, more chips in that basket, coins in that basket, that you're not taking it seriously. The amount of people I work with that I've been working with for 2, 3, 4, 6 months, and I've not even read the first book on the reading list. Look, I'm going to work with you. I have the compassion and the empathy, but it's also my job to not mollycoddle you and tell you that you're acting like a baby. There's no other way for me to say it. You are acting like a baby. There's no other way to say it. There's too many people that are mollycoddling, like I just said. There's too many people that say, it's okay. It is okay. You're right. You can live whilst never recovering. There's people out there throughout history when there was no recovery that lived till 95 years old with chronic OCD. That decision comes down to you. Can't say for sure because that's where the fear comes in. But to give yourself the best possibility to put yourself in situations, you need to stop acting as if you're four. And you have to put yourself, I'm tired. I don't feel like it. I'm not in the mood. These are statements that lead you nowhere good. Now, I'm not saying to not take care of yourself when you're feeling quite tired or over. I don't like the term burnout. I don't use that term. It's way overused. It has no meaning anymore. Once a word loses its meaning or a term loses its meaning, it's very hard to give that meaning back. That's why we're careful about terminologies. You hear people say, this is what sobriety means to me. No, I don't drink alcohol anymore. I smoke weed. You are not sober. There's only one definition of OCD recovery, and that's baseline internal peace for the most part, 99% of the time, with strong, unconditional self-life, other acceptance. You can usually tell by the way that people respond to hardships or discomfort or yelling or screaming what their perspectives are when it comes to OCD and anxiety recovery. So that was the third thing. The fourth thing is I had to get comfortable with backsliding. One of my favorite principles from this book right here. So I had to get comfortable with the nonlinear, it's not even nonlinear, right? Because nonlinear progress can look like this. Right? Can go up and down. That's not really what it is. I mean, a lot of it is like we always say, right? It's like this. It's like a bunch of squiggle lines because nothing actually makes sense. Some of my best days are followed by my worst days. Vice versa. Rob coining that term and that phrase is very important. But I had to get comfortable with the possibility that OCD could do whatever, wherever, whenever for the remainder of my life. And all I could do in that moment was try to maintain routines, not complain, and accept that I have a mental health disorder. I have a more than likely genetic abnormality in my brain that can be unlatched and turned off from belief work and behavioral changes, but there is no absolute guarantee. That is the most mature thing to do, is to accept, hey, this is my responsibility. Yes, I'm working with a coach, therapist, psychiatrist, whoever, spiritual leader, pastor, a religious figure, anyone. It still comes down to me. My responsibility to put the work in, my responsibility to deal with relapses and go forward. And that's why one of my favorite quotes by the late Jim Rohn, Tony Robbins' mentor, is one of the number one signs of human maturity is personal responsibility. There only really is one type of responsibility because it comes from personal, from you. But that statement in of itself holds a lot of merit when you're going through. And probably the last thing was, and this encompasses everything, and what I just said about backsliding, is I had to look at the brutal realities of life. Humans have a very difficult time at looking at probable, more substantiated realities. Number one, life is not fair. Number two, bad things happen to a lot of people. Very unfortunate. Number three, the world is not always as privileged as you think. Number four, even when you put the hard work in and do the right things, you're still not owed anything. Your probability and chances of achievement go up, but you're never owed those things. And all of that came together to reach to where I am today. And it takes a long time. I want to end it with this because someone, understandably so, was upset when I said this in the WhatsApp groups the other day. Not many people on this planet work with as many OC sufferers as I do, and Rob in this company. How many people do I meet where unconditional self-life and other acceptance is a primary foundational perspective under 12 months with a very low probability of spikes? Almost nobody. 2 years. And this is saying if they're putting the work in, where in the confusion, habit changes, 2 years in, half. 3 years in, a lot more. But many people, I was very stubborn with my body dysmorphia. It took me 3+ years to really get underneath an unconditional acceptance because I didn't want to give up compulsions. I was so addicted. I was so afraid of not looking the way I want to look. I didn't care what other people thought. I cared about what I felt about my own body, how I felt in, as people say, my own skin. Sensory motor, 2+ years. Panic issues, 2 to 4 years in that range. Anger, 4+ years. Reading different anger books by Ellis, How to Control Your Anger Before It Controls You. Listening to different things on anger, multiple experiences. How many people do I meet that make serious progress in 6 months, but then stall for a year or two? A good amount. It's important to cover that. So thank you again, Phil at OCDrecovery.com. Let me know what you think. Please reach out and please come to some of our webinars. If you can't make it to a one-to-one, please come to a webinar. They are chock full of information. I run them. Moment's there, Sam's there, Rob pops in from time to time, and they are a lot of fun. Thank you again for the support. You can do it. Put the work in day by day, and you can get there. OCD and anxiety recovery.